Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are really glad you're here because today we're going to do something a little disorienting.
Yeah, a bit of time travel.
Exactly. I want to take you out of your office, out of your car, out of your living room, and just drop you into East Africa.
But not the East Africa of today.
No, no. We are dialing the clock way, way back, 2 million years.
A completely different world. I mean, much harder, much simpler, and definitely a lot more dangerous.
And the mission today is to solve a mystery. It's really the mystery of us.
How we got here.
Yeah. If you and I were hiking through that landscape 2 million years ago and we looked around, we would see some familiar characters.
Yeah.
We'd see anxious mothers cuddling their babies. We'd see kids playing in the mud, maybe throwing sticks at each other. We'd see these chest-thumping macho guys trying to impress the local beauty.
And probably some grumpy old elders who just want a nap and for the kids to keep it down.
It sounds like a typical family reunion, doesn't it? It's recognizable behavior.
It feels incredibly human.
But here's the kicker, and this is the core premise of the book we are diving into today. Sapiens, by Yuval Noah Harari.
Right.
If you saw these humans 2 million years ago, you wouldn't think they were anything special.
Not at all. You wouldn't look at them and say, that thing there, that naked ape, that creature is going to take over the planet.
You'd look at them and think, okay, that's just another animal. I mean, they're doing the same things chimps do.
Same things baboons do, yeah.
There is absolutely nothing to suggest that this specific ape is going to eventually build the pyramids or split the atom or, I don't know, walk on the moon.
And that's the hook. Harari calls this concept an animal of no significance. And honestly, that kind of stings a little bit for us modern humors to hear.
It does.
We're raised on this idea of human exceptionalism, that we were always destined for greatness, that we were the inevitable rulers of the earth from day one.
But Harari looks at the biological record and just says, no.
Flat out, no. For a very, very long time, humans were just another marginal creature in the ecosystem. We had no more impact on the environment than, like, a jellyfish or a firefly.
So the goal for this deep dive is to figure out what changed. How did we go from being this marginal, anxious ape cowering in the corner of Africa to the absolute master of the planet?
And the answer seems to lie in a specific moment in time that Harari calls the cognitive revolution.
That's the turning point.
It is. And just to orient us, Harari frames human history through three massive revolutions.
Okay.
You have the cognitive revolution, which kickstarted history about 70,000 years ago. Then, much later, you have the agricultural revolution, around 12,000 years ago.
Right?
And finally, the scientific revolution, which is really just a baby. It's only 500 years old.
Wow.
But today, we're zooming in on that first one, the cognitive revolution. This is the moment, as he puts it, that history declared independence from biology.
I love that phrase, independence from biology. It sounds so liberating, but also a little bit dangerous. Before we get to the independence, though, we need to understand the biology we were shackled to. Because we call ourselves Homo sapiens, which means wise man.
Right, we flatter ourselves.
We do.
Yeah?
And we naturally assume that having a big brain is just an automatic win in the evolutionary lottery. Like, big brain equals survival.
We do assume that, but if you look at nature, it's not necessarily true at all. If big brains were the ultimate survival tool, the cat family would have evolved a calculus-doing tiger by now.
Huh. Yeah, I guess they didn't.
They didn't. Evolution loves utility, and big brains are actually, well, they're problematic.
Problematic how? I mean, I use mine every day. Well, most days.
They are incredibly expensive. Harari approaches this like an accountant. He looks at the energy budget of the body.
Okay.
In a human, the brain accounts for maybe 2 to 3% of total body weight. It's tiny.
Just a few pounds.
But when you're just sitting there resting, doing nothing, it consumes 25% of your body's energy.
Wait, a quarter. A quarter of everything I eat goes just to keeping the lights on upstairs. Even if I'm just watching TV.
Exactly. Even when you're sleeping. Compare that to other apes. In a chimp, the brain only takes about 8% of resting energy.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
It is. So humans are walking around with this massive fuel-guzzling engine in their heads that they have to feed constantly. This means we have to spend way more time looking for food than other animals.
So if evolution is like a budget manager and you decide to spend heavily on the brain department, you have to cut costs somewhere else.
You have to. You can't just print more energy.
You can't.
And the department that got its budget slashed was muscle. We diverted energy from biceps to neurons.
Which seems like a terrible strategy if you're living on the savannah surrounded by leopards and lions.
It's a horrible strategy for a brawl. A chimpanzee cannot win a debate with a human, but it can rip a human apart like a rag doll.
Right.
So for millions of years, our ancestors had these large brains, but they weren't the top dogs. They were actually smack in the middle of the food chain.
In the middle.
Yeah. And Harari uses this brilliant analogy. He calls early humans the woodpeckers of the savannah.
Woodpeckers. I assume not because we were, pecking at trees.
No. It's because we were extracting the leftovers that no one else could get to. I want you to think about a kill on the savannah.
Okay.
A lion takes down a giraffe. Now, the lion is the king. It eats its fill of best meat. Who comes next?
The hyenas, maybe? The jackals?
Right, the scavengers with some bite to them. And the early humans. We didn't dare approach while the lions were there. We didn't even dare approach when the hyenas were there.
So we wait.
We waited until everyone was done and all that was left were the bones. Then we'd sneak in with our stone tools, crack the bones open, and eat the marrow.
So that was our niche. We were marrow-sucking bottom feeders.
That's it. It's a humbling image, isn't it? The future masters of the world hiding in the bushes, terrified, waiting for the hyenas to leave so we can suck marrow out of a bone.
Yeah, it's not exactly the image of a conqueror.
It is humbling, but Harari argues that this specific history, this millions of years history of being the underdog, explains a lot about our modern psychology.
How so?
See, lions and sharks, they evolved to be top predators over millions and millions of years. Their dominance grew slowly. The ecosystem had time to adjust to them, and they developed a sort of majestic self-confidence.
They know they're the kings. They don't have to prove it constantly.
Exactly. But we jumped from the middle to the top almost overnight, historically speaking.
Too fast.
Way too fast. We didn't have time to adjust. We're like the dictator of a banana republic who seized power in a sudden coup. We've got the palace, we've got the army, but we're full of anxiety and fear that someone is going to take it all away.
So we're insecure.
We are massively insecure.
Yeah.
And that makes us doubly cruel and dangerous. A lot of our wars, our violence, and even our ecological destruction. Harari says it comes from this deep-seated insecurity of the underdog who suddenly won the lottery and is terrified of losing it.
We strike first because we still remember being the prey.
We do. We're anxious predators.
That makes so much sense. Now, before we get to the storytelling aspect, there was one piece of technology that helped us make that jump.
Right.
Fire.
Fire was the game changer. The domestication of fire happened roughly 300,000 years ago, and the obvious benefits are clear. Light in the darkness, warmth in the winter, a weapon against lions.
Sure.
But the real revolution wasn't protection, it was cooking.
Because it kills germs.
Yeah.
Or just makes things taste better.
Both, but the biological impact is way deeper. It's about digestion. A chimp spends about 5 hours a day just chewing raw food.
5 hours.
Just chewing. Raw meat and tough roots take a lot of effort to break down. Cooking essentially outsources that digestion. It does the breakdown for you before the food even enters your mouth.
It's pre-digestion.
Exactly. Because the food was softer and easier to process, we didn't need giant teeth or massive jaw muscles. But more importantly, we didn't need long intestines.
Ah, and this connects right back to the energy budget we were talking about.
Right back to the budget cuts.
The budget cuts, yeah.
Intestines and brains are the two biggest energy consumers in the body. You really can't have both be massive.
Right.
By cooking food, we shortened our intestinal tract. That freed up a huge surplus of energy that could now be diverted to power an even bigger brain. It was the cooking catalyst.
So fire didn't just warm us. It literally rewired our anatomy.
It did. And Harari mentioned something kind of poetic about fire, too. He says it was the first limitless force humans controlled.
Limitless. How so?
Well, think about an eagle. An eagle is powerful, but its power is limited by its biology.
Right. Its wingspan, its strength.
It can only fly as long as its wings hold out. It can only hunt until it gets tired. But a human with a flint, a single human can burn down an entire forest. The fire doesn't get tired. It doesn't need sleep. It's a power completely separate from our own bodies. It was our first step towards stepping out of the biological loop.
Okay, so let's reset the timeline. We have the big brain, funded by the shortcut. We have the fire. But we're still not ruling the world.
Not even close.
150,000 years ago, Homo sapiens are in East Africa, looking like us, but they were still just minding their own business. Then, about 70,000 years ago, boom, the cognitive revolution.
This is the great mystery. Between 70,000 and 30,000 years ago, sapiens started doing things no species had ever done before.
Like what?
We see boats, we see oil lamps, we see bows and arrows, we see art like that famous Lion Man figurine found in Germany.
Right, the Lion Man.
We see evidence of religion and commerce. It's just an explosion of creativity.
So what happened in the brain? Did we get, like, a hardware upgrade?
The leading theory is what Harari calls the tree of knowledge mutation. It was likely a random genetic accident that rewired the neural pathways in the brain. It didn't necessarily make us smarter in a raw processing sense, like a calculator getting faster, but it changed the way we use language.
But animals have language. We know that. I mean, green monkeys have calls for eagle or lion.
Whales have songs, bees dance, yeah.
So what makes our language so special?
This is where it gets really interesting, and we have to be precise. A green monkey can scream, "Careful," a lion. And that is very useful.
Extremely useful.
It describes an objective reality. It says there is a physical threat at these coordinates. But Harari argues our language is unique not because we can describe reality better, but because we can describe things that do not exist.
Like lie.
We can lie, yes. But lying is just a tiny part of it. A monkey can deceive. It might cry lion to scare others away from a banana it wants.
Okay.
But a monkey cannot imagine. A monkey can say river. A monkey cannot say the great river spirit is angry and demands a banana sacrifice.
Because physically, the river spirit isn't there.
Exactly. Legally, physically, biologically, the river spirit does not exist. But we can talk about it. We can create a whole story around a fictional entity.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here. Why is talking about a non-existent spirit a survival advantage?
It seems counterintuitive.
It does. You can't eat a spirit. You can't use a spirit to fight off a leopard. I mean, from a pure evolutionary standpoint, sitting around talking about ghosts sounds like a huge waste of calories.
It seems that way until you look at the problem of social cooperation. And this brings us to what's called the gossip theory.
Gossip? You mean like water cooler talk? Did you hear what Grog did with Uga?
Exactly that. We tend to dismiss gossip as a bad habit or something trivial. But for early humans, it was essential intelligence.
Social intelligence.
Yes. To survive in a band, you need to know who is honest, who is a cheat, who is sleeping with whom, who forms alliances. This information allows you to navigate incredibly complex social relationships.
So language didn't evolve for poetry. It evolved to track the soap opera of the tribe.
Basically, yeah. It's social tracking software. But there's a hardware limit.
I love it.
Sociologists have found that gossip only works for a group of up to about 150 people. This is often called Dunbar's number.
Right. I heard of this.
You can personally know, trust, and keep track of the relationships of about 150 people.
That's about the size of a military company or a small village.
Exactly. And below 150, you don't really need formal laws or police or contracts. You just need gossip. Everyone knows everyone. If someone steals, everyone knows they're a thief and they're ostracized. Social pressure works.
But once you cross 150...
the social order destabilizes. You can't gossip effectively about 1,000 people. You can't trust strangers based on personal knowledge because you don't have any.
So here's the bottleneck. If sapiens wanted to build cities or armies or empires, they had to break that 150 barrier.
They had to.
They needed thousands of people to cooperate. But gossip fails at that scale.
And this is the crucial threshold. How do you get millions of people to cooperate if they don't know each other? The answer is fiction. You create a shared myth.
Okay, let's unpack this slowly, because this is the core idea of the book, right?
It's the central pillar.
When we say myth, we usually mean falsehood or fairy tale. But Harari uses it differently.
He does. He uses the analogy of the Peugeot car company to explain this, and it's brilliant.
Okay.
Let's look at the Lion Man figurine from 32,000 years ago. It's a human body with a lion's head. It's a myth, a spirit. Now think about Peugeot, the car brand.
Okay, the car company. I see the cars on the street. They seem pretty real.
But what is Peugeot? Is it the cars?
Well, yeah, if I see a Peugeot on the road, that's the company's product.
True. But if every single Peugeot car in the world was crushed into scrap metal simultaneously, would the company disappear?
No. They'd still have the blueprints in the factories. They'd just build more.
Okay, so is it the factories? Is it the employees?
Well, a disaster could wipe out every factory. A plague could kill every employee. But the company, the idea of Peugeot could still exist.
It could. It could borrow money, hire new people, build new factories, and keep going.
So what is it if it's not the cars, the buildings, or the people?
It's a limited liability company. It is a legal fiction. It exists only because we all agree it exists.
Wow.
Harari points out that lawyers are the modern shamans here. A tribal shaman might say the lion's spirit protects us. A lawyer says, if you sign this paper, this company now exists.
And suddenly, this invisible entity can own property, pay taxes, and be sued.
It's pure magic, just words on paper creating a powerful new reality.
The Peugeot is a shared story.
Precisely. It is what Harari calls an intersubjective reality.
Okay, we need a definition for that. It sounds complicated.
It's not, really. Think of it in 3 parts. Objective reality is a river, a tree, a lion. If you stop believing in the lion, it will still eat you. It doesn't care about your opinion.
Got it. Reality.
Subjective reality is an imaginary friend. It only exists in your head. If you die, it dies with you.
Okay.
But intersubjective reality exists in the communication network linking many people. It exists as long as the group believes in it.
Like money.
Money is the ultimate example. A dollar bill has no value physically. You can't eat it. It's terrible for starting a fire. It's just colored paper.
Right.
But because millions of us believe in the story of the dollar, the story that the U.S. Treasury stands behind it, it has immense power. We kill for it. We work for it.
But if the story collapses, if people stop believing the U.S. Treasury is solvent,
the dollar becomes worthless paper again, overnight.
So nations, human rights, corporations, laws, these are all intersubjective realities.
Well, all of them, yes. You can't point to a United States in the physical world. You can show me the Mississippi River. You can show me the White House. You can show me people. But the concept of the nation, the borders, the Constitution, the identity, it exists only in our collective imagination.
And this is the secret weapon. This is why we beat the chimps.
This is everything. You can never convince a monkey to give you a banana by promising him limitless bananas after death in monkey heaven.
No, you can't.
Only sapiens can believe that story. And because we believe that story, we can build cathedrals. Because we believe in the story of the nation, millions of people who have never met can fight and die in a war together. We cooperate not because we know each other, but because we believe in the same myths.
That distinction between lying about a lion to save your skin and creating a story about a spirit to build a society, that's the whole key.
It is. A lie is just deception. A myth is a bridge for cooperation on a massive scale.
And that bridge allowed us to enter the fast lane of evolution. This is where biology gets left in the dust.
Completely. I mean, it's a total game changer for how a species can adapt.
Right. This was the section about bypassing biology. Usually evolution is painfully slow.
It's a traffic jam. For millions of years, if a species needed to change its behavior, it usually had to wait for a genetic mutation.
Which takes forever.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. Take archaic humans, like Homo erectus. They made stone tools. But they made the same stone tools for nearly 2 million years.
2 million years with no innovation.
Basically none. Their culture was stuck in their genes. They couldn't just wake up one day and say, hey, let's organize our society differently.
But Sapiens, we changed the story, we changed the behavior.
Instantly. Harari gives the example of celibacy to illustrate how we defy biology.
Okay.
From a pure biological standpoint, the drive to procreate is paramount. It's everything. A population of males who refuse to procreate is an evolutionary dead end.
Of course. The genes for not having kids should be wiped out in one generation.
They should be. Yet the Catholic priesthood has survived for centuries.
And thrived.
And it's not because there is a Catholic gene or a celibacy gene. It's because they pass on a story, the New Testament, canon law, the life of Christ.
They recruit new members not by birth, but by storytelling.
Exactly. So cultural evolution passing ideas through language completely outpaces genetic evolution.
It makes genetic evolution look like it's standing still.
It really does. Think about this anecdote he uses. A woman born in Berlin in 1900. She lives to be 100 years old.
Okay.
In her single lifetime, she lived under the Hohenzollern Empire, the Weimar Republic, the Nazi Third Reich, Communist East Germany, and finally a reunified democratic Germany.
5 different societies, 5 different flags, 5 different national anthems.
5 completely different value systems, 5 different myths about who is good and who is bad. In one system, loyalty to the emperor is everything. In the next, the race is everything. Then the party is everything.
But her DNA,
Her DNA was exactly the same in 1900 as it was in 1990. Sapiens can transform their social structures completely within a single generation just by changing the story they believe in. No other animal can do that.
This flexibility is incredible. It really is our superpower.
Yeah.
But it also had a dark side.
A very dark side.
Because when we started moving out of Africa with these new myths, these new cooperative powers, we weren't the only humans around.
No, we weren't. We entered a crowded room. And this brings us to the ultimate showdown. Sapiens versus Neanderthals.
I think the popular image, the cartoon image, is that sapiens were just smarter and Neanderthals were these dumb, grunting brutes.
The classic caveman stereotype.
But the data doesn't really back that up, does it?
Not at all. That is pure sapiens propaganda. The archaeological record shows that Neanderthals had brains that were actually, on average, larger than ours. Larger. They were physically stronger, more muscular. They were incredibly well adapted to the cold climate of Ice Age Europe. They used tools, they used fire, they cared for their sick and elderly.
So if you put a sapiens and a Neanderthal in a boxing ring or a cage match,
the Neanderthal wins every time. It wouldn't even be close. They were tanks compared to us.
So how did we win the war for the planet if they were stronger and had bigger brains?
It comes back to the myths and the numbers. Neanderthals likely didn't have that ability to share fictions.
So they were stuck.
They were stuck at the gossip level. They probably had language, but it was likely limited to describing reality and close relationships. So their groups were limited to that magic number of roughly 50 to 150 people.
They couldn't organize an army.
Right. Sapiens, with our shared myths, could organize 500 people. Or 5,000. So even if the Neanderthal is stronger one-on-one, 500 coordinated sapiens against 50 Neanderthals is a massacre.
We could just overwhelm them with numbers.
Sheer coordinated numbers.
And that wasn't just warfare, it was economics too, right?
Yes. Harari points to evidence of trade. Archaeologists have found obsidian tools hundreds of kilometers away from the nearest obsidian source.
400 kilometers, I think he said?
Yeah, an incredible distance. That implies a long-distance trade network.
And trade implies trust.
Exactly. You don't trade with a stranger unless you have a shared belief, maybe in a god or a common ancestor or a custom of hospitality. If you don't have that shared myth, a stranger is just an enemy.
So Neanderthals didn't trade.
They lived locally. So when a drought hit or food got scarce in their valley, Neanderthals died alone. Sapiens had a network. They could get help from the next tribe over or the tribe 3 valleys away.
There are 2 main theories about what actually happened to them, though. The interbreeding theory and the replacement theory.
Yes. For a long time, the replacement theory was dominant, that we basically committed a total genocide and just wiped them out.
The straightforward conquest.
But recent DNA evidence, which is really exciting, shows that many modern humans, specifically those with European and Asian ancestry, have between 1% and 4% Neanderthal DNA.
So we did get cozy with them.
We did. There was some mixing. But Harari points out that while there was some mixing, it wasn't a merger. It was largely a replacement. We drove them to extinction.
Right.
And he makes a very provocative point here. Tolerance is not a sapiens trademark.
Oof. Yeah, our own history backs that up pretty clearly.
Look at our history. We kill each other over small differences in skin color or dialect, or which version of a religious story we believe in. Is it likely that our ancestors would have been tolerant of an entirely different species of human?
Probably not. It was likely the first and most significant ethnic cleansing in history.
And it brings up a haunting what if. Imagine if Neanderthals had survived.
Wow.
Imagine a world today with 2 or 3 different human species walking around. Would the Bible say that Neanderthals also descended from Adam and Eve? Would they have souls?
Would the American Declaration of Independence say all members of the genus Homo are created equal?
Exactly. That's a mind-bending thought. We are so used to being the only ones.
We're used to being the pinnacle, the lonely masters.
And this solitude makes it easier for us to believe we are special or set apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. If our cousins were still walking around, the line between human and animal would be much, much blurrier. We might not feel so godlike.
So let's just summarize this incredible journey. We have the cognitive revolution about 70,000 years ago.
Right.
We gain the ability to tell stories about things that don't exist.
Right.
We create these intersubjective realities, nations, money, gods, corporations.
Yeah.
And these things allow us to cooperate in massive numbers, bypass the slow lane of genetic evolution, and, well, dominate the entire planet.
That is the summary in a nutshell. But there is a twist at the end, a modern twist.
Which is?
We now live in a dual reality. There is the objective reality, the rivers, the trees, the climate, and there is the imagined reality, Google, the United Nations, the dollar.
And the irony is?
The irony is that the imagined reality has become the master. In the beginning, the myth served the tribe. But today, the survival of the river and the tree depends entirely on the decisions of the imagined entities.
Wow.
The decisions of the United States or the World Bank or Shell Oil. Those decisions determine whether the Amazon rainforest survives. The fantasy now controls the reality.
That is a powerful and slightly terrifying way to put it.
And this leads to the final thought Harari leaves us with in this section. We have moved from being animals of no significance, those anxious woodpeckers of the savannah, to self-made gods.
Right.
We have mastered cooperation. We have mastered the environment. But are we happier?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Are we more satisfied than the hunter-gatherer telling stories around the fire 30,000 years ago? We are certainly more powerful. But Harari suggests we might just be powerful, dissatisfied gods who don't know what we want.
We have the power of creation and destruction, but no clear direction.
No instruction manual.
It makes you look at the news and even your own life a little differently. We are all just running on these software updates, these myths that were installed 70,000 years ago to help us hunt mammoths, but now we're using them to navigate the stock market and the internet.
And maybe it's time to look at which stories serve us and which ones don't, because unlike our genes, the stories can be changed.
That is a fantastic place to land. This deep dive really changes how I see.
Well, everything.
Thanks for helping us unpack Sapiens.
My pleasure. It's always good to examine the myths we live by.
And to you listening, next time you pull out a dollar bill or look at a company logo, just remember, you aren't looking at reality. You are looking at the magic spell that allowed a hairless ape to conquer the world. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.